Howdy my totally tubular sharkaholics, and we're back for another Jaws video. We're getting just a little bit closer to the golden movie, but we're not there yet. We got Jaws 2 now. We looked at Jaws 3, Jaws the Revenge, Cruel Jaws. Now we got Jaws 2, the sequel to the original Jaws. I know that's clearly what everybody wanted me to look at, but here we are. Is the movie actually still pretty good? Let's find out. So Jaws 2 obviously takes place after Jaws 1. It stars our main character from the first movie, Brody. And well, after the first movie, he's really suffering from basically PTSD. He's pretty nervous that another shark will attack. He's having crazy flashbacks, you know, the nightmares. He's basically unhinged is what he is. He's very unhinged in this movie and always on edge that another shark is going to attack. I mean, after the events of the first movie, yeah. I would be nervous too, that's for sure. But he's very unhinged in this movie, and he's just waiting. He knows another shark is going to show up. And another shark does. Jaws does come back for revenge, and, well, it's time for him to take down another big fish. The plot of this movie is actually very different from the plot of the first movie, even though both of them are just about giant sharks attacking. See, in this one, Brody's expecting it. He's waiting for it. He's looking for it. In the first movie, he wasn't really sure what was going on. In this one, he knows one is going to come back and it's going to try to kill everyone. And he's just ready for it, to the point that everyone thinks he's crazy. I really liked Brody's character and his character development throughout the movie. In the first movie, he was pretty cool-headed and he was always pretty rational. In this movie, he just appears to be just legit crazy. Like, he looks absolutely crazy throughout the entire movie, saying that a shark's gonna attack and all this and that. But I really liked how it was perceived. I really liked how everybody reacts appropriately to their chief of police acting crazy, and I like where the story goes. And yeah, it doesn't have the same impact as the first movie. It is the second movie. The shark isn't as impressive, and the story isn't exactly the deepest, and I'm sure you can find some plot holes if you really look, but I actually really enjoyed the story. And if you want to look for plot holes, I mean, here's the most obvious one. How is there another giant shark? Like, how is this even possible? But you know what? You're already questioning too much if you're going to go that far. And despite everything, I actually really did enjoy the plot of the movie, and I thought the pacing was actually really well done throughout, as they just keep building up the moment when Brody's going to see that shark and he's going to lose his mind, and I really enjoyed that. And I really enjoy the pacing of Jaws, the shark, in the movie, as he's in it a lot more than the first movie. They drop all subtlety out of the window. Like, Jaws just shows up right from the get-go and just starts killing people and blowing shit up. And I really like this pacing. It's very different from the first movie. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better than the first movie, but I really can appreciate that it's very different. They didn't try to recreate the same kind of pacing and tone as the first one. No, they just went balls to the walls with this one, and Jaws does some crazy shit. Speaking of which, we have the shark, which is actually really well done in this movie. I think that Jaws not only shows up a ton of the movie, I think the kills are great, and I think it actually looks very good for the time. It looks a little better than the first Jaws movie. It looks less robotic. It's probably because they got the animatronic working, which is good. And I think that for the time, it looked really impressive. In fact, it looks pretty alright nowadays. It's always great to just see something there, not some shitty CGI. No, to actually have something there. It's really nice. It looks very good for the time. It even looks alright now, and it gets a pass from me. In terms of how much Jaws is on screen, it is definitely, like I said, a lot more than the first movie. He's in it quite a bit. It doesn't go more than like 10 or 15 minutes at most without him. It's really good. The shark screen time is very good throughout. I think it was very well paced. And then when it comes to the kills, I think it was also very well done. It's much better than Jaws 3 and 4, I'll say that. The kills all look great. There's a ton of them. Jaws just goes nuts in this movie. It's exactly what you would want. In fact, the kills were so good, basically every shark movie ripoff that came out after this is just really trying to replicate Jaws 2, because the kills were actually that good. Like, I genuinely thought they were all great. There isn't a stinker in there. There's some really creative ones. There's some really just visceral ones. It can get a bit bloody and gory, especially considering that I'm pretty sure this is like a PG movie, and I really liked it. Do the kills have the impact or the level of depth that the first movies did? No, it doesn't, and that's what's going to happen when you have a bunch of kills versus like 3 or 4 really good ones, but I think it was still really good. It was very different from the first movie, and I can actually really appreciate it even nowadays. It was all good, and everything related to Jaws I think was very well done. I really liked the part where Jaws gets burned. He looks even more threatening and scary, and he is just all over these people in this movie, and I really liked it. I truly did. Speaking of the people, let's bring up the acting. The acting in the movie is pretty good. It's not great, it's not amazing, but it was actually good. Obviously, the main actor, Brody, he was great. He was easily the best actor of the whole movie. He really sold the unhinged thing very well. It was very believable, and you could actually see where he was coming from. He was great. No complaints there. Everyone else, though, they were just alright at best. I mean, everyone was pretty much just there. I mean, nobody was really memorable. There were some funny parts here and there with some of the acting, but I mean, there wasn't really all that much. It's not going to make you roll your eyes. It's not super cheesy. It's not super trashy. The dialogue isn't terrible. No, it's all good there. It's just not amazing. It's just good, other than Brody. But all acting, pretty alright, and was better than what I expected, really. And really, that's what I can say about Jaws 2 as a whole, is the movie is better than I expected. I expected something that really just tried to run off the coattails of the first Jaws movie, but what we got was actually very different from the first Jaws movie, where instead of it being almost like a horror movie with slow build-up, no, this movie just goes nuts, and it's much more of a slasher flick that came out at the time, similar to, say, like Friday the 13th, just, you know, with Jaws, and I can really appreciate that. I actually really liked it. I liked how it tried to be super different and just try to go off the rails, and I really liked everything related to Jaws, the shark. I thought it was great. The acting was fine enough, and I thought the pacing of the movie was good, and, you know, I actually was really satisfied when I finished watching it, and it's rare these days when I'm this satisfied after watching a shark movie. Is it as good as the first movie? No, of course it's not as good as the first movie. The first movie was incredibly monumental and stood for a lot of different trends that were set after and really created the whole sharksploitation genre. But I still think Jaws 2 is nothing to scoff at, and I still think that it is probably one of the best shark movies ever made. It's probably in my top 10, maybe top 15, but probably top 10. And with all that said, I have no problem giving this movie a 5 out of 5 on the shark scale. It is a shark masterpiece. Shark movies don't really get all that much better. I can recommend Jaws 2 if you haven't seen it by now and you like shark movies. I really would say that this is one to actually go out and see. On its own as a movie, it was pretty alright also. So Jaws 2, that's really all I got to say about it. Was actually pretty satisfied with it and glad I saw it after all these years. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. See ya.